This is the DBPOWER portable car jump starter. In this particular case, this is the red and black model. That's 18,000 milliamps. They make a variety of sizes. This is the largest one that I know of that this particular brand sells. But now, and included, it has a lot of accessories. Included with the jump starter are the instructions, and I'll talk about those in a minute. A micro USB charging cable, if I can find it, there it is. A wall adapter with a round. It uses the round barrel plug. This is for charging the jump starter. A car charging adapter. Of course, the jumper cables here. 8 adapters for like variety of size, mostly laptops, and then the cable that comes with that, along with the carrying case, which is actually a nice carrying case. And the one thing I like about it is it has a reference chart, which is probably a little hard to see in the camera, but a reference chart to kind of show you what size engines this particular and other smaller versions of this brand's chargers can jump start. Now I do have a couple initial complaints here with this jump starter. One of them's a common issue with all the different jump starters that I've used, is that the battery clamp cables in this are short. And again, this is a common problem with a lot of these. For me, I have a vehicle that has a kind of unique location in the engine compartment. It kind of makes these short cables a challenge to use, for the fact that you don't have enough length to kind of set this someplace out of the way. I really wish they would start making these jump cables with these sets a little bit longer. Now, the other thing about these is they use plastic handles, and although they work, I do wish they were a little bit sturdier overall, because I'm not particularly crazy about the plastic handles, but they do the job. Another complaint about the accessories is this laptop adapter cable is kind of small. It's less than 10 inches. So again, I think that's too short for what's really needed. So, and one of the other things about this is, one of the odd things that are missing is there's no Apple adapters or charging cables included with this set. So it's a minor issue to me, because they're, you can add them at a little cost, but it's kind of odd that they actually weren't included with this set. Now, I said I was going to mention about the instructions, and one of the things I want to mention about the instructions is one of the things that bothers me most is a good device is hampered by really poor instructions, and these are some instructions that are not particularly great. For one, they've got multiple languages crowded together, making it difficult to read through, and the instructions are not particularly well written either in terms of translation, in addition to lacking a lot of technical and operational details that make this more work to figure out how this thing works in the various modes than it should be. So they really need to rework their instructions, particularly for this set of jump starters. Now, one of the things that concern me in the instructions is there's a warning in the instructions that say this has to be charged over 25% or it can cause damage, but doesn't give the reason or specify what can be damaged, whether the charger or what you're jump starting. If that's the case, why not have a safety feature built in that will not allow you to jump start if it has 25% or less? And one other thing, oddly, is there's conflicting information on this chart that says make sure that the jump starter's 50% or more charged. So again, it's something that the instructions, they really need to rewrite and do a better job at giving a clear English set of instructions that have good details. But one of the good things about this is this set has a 3-year warranty, which is actually one of the few things documented in the instructions, which is good. Like I said, I mentioned the chart in here. It gives you a good, easy reference. And one of the things that I've read in terms of other people having some issues with some of these jump starters is not all jump starters are created equal. You need a certain size jump starter that's capable of jump starting a certain size engine. For example, it takes a minimum of an 8,000 milliamp jump starter, at least according to this chart, to jump start a 4-cylinder 2,000 cc engine. So, you know, and again, so it's something you kind of need to kind of be aware of, that depending on the engine sizes, it kind of depends on what you need in terms of overall battery size for the jump starter. The chart itself is okay. It could also use a little better translation as well, in terms that it uses, you know, good for when it's fully capable, and uses fine for when I'm guessing at this that it's capable for likely one attempt to jump start. It does clearly outline when it's not capable of a particular size engine, but again, I really kind of wish they would fix that. So as for the device itself, as you can see, it's a nice black and white casing. It's a plastic casing, and due to the battery size, it does have some weight to it. And again, it's a plastic casing that's typical of the device. It seems to be made pretty well, although I'm a little concerned in terms of how well it'll be hold up to being dropped, for the fact that the instructions can have a warning in there about dropping. So it kind of makes me wonder a little bit how well they're protected, the electronics are protected on the inside. In my opinion, something like this, especially at this price range, should have some shock proofing on the inside. Now, one small issue I had with this particular jump starter is this round port here was slightly off in terms of the location of where it was supposed to be, and I kind of had to push it down to get it back in the slot. I'm not sure if that actually happened during shipping or what exactly. So again, that's why I consider it a small issue. Now, I want to show you the case up close here, the jump starter. Again, there's the round barrel port, the digital display, which I can turn on here quickly, that shows you the percentage, the mode it's in, along with you know, the information, various information there for the different modes that are there. But in addition to that, there's the power button, which actually should be probably changed to a mode button, because this actually really doesn't have to do with the powering up of the device. It's more of the mode that's selected. It's got two USB smart ports here. Then an input for round barrel input there for charging the device, the on-off switch, and then hidden under here, this silicone flap, are the two jump starter ports there. In addition, on the top is a compass and a red emergency flashing light, and then the flashlight on the front. You know, since this is jump starter's basically a high-powered or high-capacity power bank, it has a lot of the same features. And again, some of these, I think, in my opinion, are more useful than others. For example, the compass here is on the top of the case, and not, to me, particularly practical. It's small, it's hard to read, and not really a very useful charger for a useful feature for this heavy charger, because I'm, you know, not going to be lugging this thing around as a compass, because that's really not its main purpose. Now the flashlight, let me turn this on here real quick. The flashlight, there you go. The flashlight is one of the typical ones that include, you know, the strobing feature and the SOS feature, and then in addition to that, there's the red emergency light feature, which is okay. Does the job for lighting up the immediate area when they're trying to connect a dead battery, or at least have an emergency type of light. I do think that, you know, the way it's activated, which is by holding that power button or mode button, you have to kind of hold it, press it to get it to switch modes. Quick press for the red light is a bit complicated, and I really would have liked to have a separate switch or a separate selector for that to make that a bit simpler to use, in my opinion. And as I said, this has two charging ports. The ports appear to be intelligent ports. They're labeled smart output. The description on the Amazon page indicates these are 2.4 amp smart ports, but the display here indicates 5 volt 2.1 amp. Again, does that really make a huge difference? I don't know, but and I tried charging both the Galaxy S6 and an iPhone 5, and I'll show you that in just a second, and both charged with no issue. So I've got my Galaxy S6 here plugged in to one of the ports. I've tried both ports. I just want to demonstrate. Let me power it on. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but there you go. You can see that it's charging up there. I'm going to show the iPhone here too. Now I've got my iPhone 5 here. Again, I'm going to power it up, and there you can see it's showing that it's charging. So and again, both ports work for that. Work for both phones. I also tried a tablet, a Bluetooth headset, which charged as well. I don't have my old phones anymore, unfortunately, so I can't test how well it works with older phones, but at least I could say it seems to work with a variety of devices, and it does appear that these are smart ports and that will work with any device. Now, the display itself, I think it's a little small, but I like the feature showing, again, the percentage of battery remaining. It has the blue LED, and it has an auto shut off after about 30 to 45 seconds of inactivity. Another fault of the instructions is that none of these features are mentioned, because in addition to the various charging modes, none of that information is about what you use those different charging modes are mentioned in the instructions. For example, there's a 16 volt mode and a 19 volt mode that I actually really wasn't sure initially what these were for. I later discovered, at least with the 19 volt, that this is for laptops, which I assume the 16 volt is also. But again, there's nothing in the instructions to even tell you how to use these. Now, I've also tried with my I have a Toshiba satellite laptop that's about 3 to 4 years old, uses Windows 7, and once you find the right adapter plug among the 8, I plugged the cable in. Now, I initially could not get the charger to charge my particular laptop at first, and with the lack of good instructions, I actually thought that there was something wrong with either the cable, the device, or it wasn't a fully functioning feature. Now, I discovered through the process of trial and error that the charger does not automatically switch to the right charge for the round output barrel port, and that you have to manually select the proper voltage. And you also cannot make that change once it's actually plugged into the laptop. So if you have the wrong mode selected, this laptop won't charge. I assume it's a safety feature, but again, there's no documentation one way or the other. So you have to actually, for example, my laptop uses 19 volts as an adapter, and you have to select that prior to plugging in the charger to the laptop. And once I did that, the laptop started charging normally. Now, the laptop charging feature isn't a big issue, but again, the instructions really need to properly address this. Now, this is going to be a little hard to see, mainly because this cable's so short. I don't have a lot of room to kind of show what's going on, but I actually have my laptop plugged in, and I have it, like I said, set to 19 volts. My battery's completely dead, and I'll show you here if I can get the screen here without dropping everything, that my laptop is actually booting up with this attached, using this to charge the battery. Now, my battery is completely dead, and I'll try to show in just a second it's showing it charging. Now, I don't know how easy this is to see over in the right hand corner, but you can see with the charger here attached that the laptop is charging with this particular charger. Now, because this is such a large battery pack, it does take several hours for this jump starter to fully charge, especially if it's down nearly empty. Now, mine arrived 97% charged, but it still took 30 to 45 minutes to get to the 100%. Now, since this device's main purpose is jump starting, I tried this on 2 different cars, which I'll show one of those in a minute. I have a 6-cylinder engine, 3-liter SUV, and a 4-cylinder 2-liter engine. The device started both cars with no issues and had plenty of power left to jump start again if I needed to do so. But again, this is dependent on the size of the jump starter that you get in terms of the battery size. Again, my biggest complaint with these is the jump starter cables are difficult to, as far as lengthwise, to deal with. Also, the end of the jump starter plug is a little difficult because they don't give you enough grip here to pull them out of the jump starter once you insert them in. So I think that gripping area needs to be a little bit larger. Again, I'll show that in just a second. So this is a little hard to see, but basically as you can see, I've got the power bank or the jump starter connected to the battery here, which again, my battery's in an odd location. And I'm going to show you this thing starting up with the jump starter. So I've got this thing connected up. I'm going to hit my, and there you go. You can hear it starting up with no issues. And it works fine for this particular vehicle and the other one I tried. The safety features of this, the product description on the Amazon page indicates this has overcurrent, short circuit, overload, over voltage, and overcharge protection. The instructions, again, do not reference this at all, and with the 25% warning and none of the safety features being mentioned, it does give me concern about the types of safety features this has. Maybe this is due to the poor instructions, as I've mentioned before, but why not at least discuss them? Considering the price of the device, which is right around $90 right now, I mean, most likely the safeties are built in, but again, poorly translated or lacking instructions really affect me in terms of my impression of a device. And I really don't like a badly written set of instructions. For the most part, this is a pretty solid device. It has a good warranty. It has the capability of charging a variety of devices and jump starting most car engines. Again, there's a few cons to this. The short cables, it's a bit expensive at $90 for what is essentially high-powered, high-capacity power bank. But really, mostly, it's hampered by its poorly written instructions that really lack a lot of operational and technical details that make this a little bit more difficult to operate than it should be. I give it 4 stars.